We're live from Joliet, Illinois and DuPage Medical Group Field, where today the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints host the Olivet Nazarene University Tigers in Game 3 of a 3-game set. All 3 games played right here in Joliet. Thanks for tuning in. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's game as we're just about set to get going here. Nick Villasenor on the mound for St. Francis into the windup. And his first pitch of the ball game is fouled back for strike 1 on Jordan Veldman. We're underway, 3:02 p.m. Central Standard Time. 0-1 on the second baseman, Veldman, who will be followed in the batting order by catcher Jake Bizkailus and the DH Braden Payne. Ball 1 on Veldman to even the count. Jacob Boltais hits cleanup and plays right field for the Tigers today. Then it's first baseman Tyler Fisher, left fielder Mason Sherrill. Rod Lucas hits 7th and plays center field as that ball is lined into left center. A base hit for Veldman. Quickly over to cut it off is the center fielder Maffey. Veldman's trying for 2 anyway, and he dives in safely. A leadoff double. Great start for Olivet Nazarene. This is a team that had 1 extra base hit in yesterday's doubleheader. That came in the last inning of the second game. They played 16 total innings yesterday, and overall for the day, they finished with just 8 total hits in those 16 innings. Again, only 1 of them for extra bases. And now here they are, just 3 pitches into today's game. They've already got a man at second base. And Jake Bizkailus is the batter with a man on and nobody out. Bizkailus squares to bunt, pulls the bat back, and takes strike 1. Bizkailus has been moved up in the batting order for this game. Despite a sluggish start to his season offensively, he's just 3 for 30 at the plate this year, a 100 batting average. He has scored 2 runs and he's driven in 1. No balls and a strike on Bizkailus, wearing his gray pant, legs up around the knees, showing off his purple socks. Takes the ball outside, 1-1. Purple undershirts for Olivet. They wear their visiting gray uniforms today. Purple caps. St. Francis is in their home whites for this one. White shirts and white pants with brown caps. Nick Villasenor, the left-hander on the mound. And this is brown and yellow stirrups over white socks as he sets for the 1-1 to Bizkailus, who gets the bunt down this time to the pitcher. The only play is at first base, and he gets the out. It's a successful sacrifice. His second sacrifice bunt of this series. Veldman advances to third base, and there's a man just 90 feet away from home plate with only 1 out in the top of the first inning. The visiting team has scored in the top of the first, and each of the first 2 games in this series, in both of those, it was St. Francis. This time around, Olivet trying to do the same as the infield comes in for Braden Payne. Payne takes the first pitch outside, ball 1. The last couple of hitters in Olivet's lineup, by the way, are Nathan Moonen, batting 8th and playing shortstop, and hitting 9th is Logan Matson. Matson plays third base. 1-0 on Braden Payne. Payne takes a strike over the outside corner, 1-1. Braden Payne so far this season is hitting .286. He's 4 for 14. 1 extra base hit, 2 RBIs. Chance at number 3 right here. Just needs to put the bat on the ball. He can't on that swing. 1-2 the count. St. Francis defensively is Sean Harper in left field, Eric Maffey in center, Travis Schoonover is over in right. On the infield from third to first, it's Jonathan Wolf, Noah Carraro, John Peterson, and Joe McGuire. Adam Cebulka does the catching. Nick Villasenor, the left-handed pitcher, delivers, and Payne fouls it off. The count is 1-2. Villasenor is making his second start in the last 4 days. He pitched 5 innings in a victory over Mount Mercy University on Saturday afternoon right here. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, a huge strikeout for the left-hander Villasenor as Payne goes down swinging, unable to get the runner in from third base, and now it's up to Jacob Boltais to pick up the RBI. No score in the top of the first inning. Olivet is threatening. Jacob Boltais this season has driven in 5 runs, which is just 1 off the pace leader. which is Gunnar Pullens, who's on the bench in this one. Boltheis is hitting .265 in 34 at-bats. He takes a breaking ball over the outside corner, strike one. Entering today's game, Nick Villasenor 0-2 with a 9 even ERA through 3 starts and 6 innings. He had allowed 6 runs on 10 hits, 4 walks. He had struck out 2. He just picked up his 3rd strikeout of the season in a critical moment in the top of this first inning. Payne loops it into right field. That drops in front of Schoonover for a hit and an RBI as Veldman crosses the plate. And for the first time in 3 games this week, Olivet Nazarene has a lead. It comes on a 2-out RBI single for Jacob Boltheis. In the top of the first inning, his 6th RBI of the season, now equaled for the team lead. He stands at first base with 2 down for Tyler Fisher. Jordan Veldman's leadoff double does not go for naught. Fisher will try to keep the pressure on St. Francis here. Olivet's first baseman is hitting .233 this year. He takes a ball in the dirt, 1-0. Veldman doubled. He was bunted to third base. It looked like Villasenor might get through the inning when he struck out Braden Payne, but an 0-1 looping line drive single to right field for Jacob Boltheis gets the scoring started. Strike over the outside corner, 1-1. Mason Sherrill stands on deck. He'll bat if the inning continues. Fisher, right-handed batter, number 31. Ready in the batter's box. He swings and fouls it off to the right side. Count is 1-2. One whistles into the seats down the first base line. A sun-splashed Tuesday afternoon in Joliet today. Really nice weather for the 3rd straight day. Temperature pushing 50 degrees. There is some sun in the area, not currently on the field, as Fisher rolls it foul past third base. Still 1-2. I don't know if it went past third base. I don't think it ever reached the bag. Down that line, though. Lefty versus righty here, 1-2 on the Olivet first baseman, with Boltheis over at first base, 2 down. The pitch, chopped to the left side. Tough play for Jonathan Wolf. The third baseman grabs it, throws to first, and gets his man. The inning is over. A run scores, though, on 2 hits. An RBI single for Jacob Boltheis with 2 outs in the inning. Makes it 1-0 Olivet as we head to the bottom of the first. Bottom of the first inning, Sean Harper due to lead things off for St. Francis. Harper is today's left fielder. Followed in the batting order by second baseman John Peterson and right fielder Travis Schoonover. Read you the rest of the starters after the first pitch. Graham Burks is on the mound for Olivet, and Burks' first pitch is over for a strike. Josh Tesh hits cleanup. Tesh is the DH. Catcher Adam Cebola hits 5th. Joe McGuire's at first base. Noah Carraro hits 7th at shortstop. Jonathan Wolf's at 3rd, and batting 9th, center fielder Eric Maffey. Harper takes the ball high, 1-1. Sean Harper this season is hitting .281 with 3 extra base hits, tied for the team lead with 6 RBIs. He takes the ball away, 2-1. On the mound for Olivet Nazarene is Graham Burke. Burke is making his 2nd start of the season, and he's looking for his first win this year. Ground ball to the shortstop, scooped up cleanly by Noonan, and Nathan Moon's throw to first base is low, but in time to get Harper as it's pulled up by Tyler Fisher for out number 1. Graham Burke this season in 5 1/3 innings pitched has allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 3 hits with 3 walks and 1 strikeout. Again, making his 2nd start of the year. Burke is a junior out of Victoria, Minnesota. He misses outside for ball 1 on John Peterson. Entering yesterday, Peterson had been a hot hitter for St. Francis. Olivet pitching did a pretty good job of slowing down his bat, though he walked a couple of times in the doubleheader, did a good job of getting on base. Fouled away, 1-1. He's hitting .375 on the season with a .459 on base percentage. 1 double, 1 triple, 1 homer, 3 runs batted in for the junior infielder. The 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Burke blows a fastball by him. It's 1-2. St. Francis struck in the first inning in each of the first 2 games of this 3-game series. Today, for the first time, they face an early deficit, trying to respond quickly. Strike 3 called to the outside corner. Peterson is out number 2, 2nd strikeout of the season in 6 innings pitched for Graham Burke. And Schoonover will hit with 2 outs and nobody on. A little bit of pressure on Graham Burke today to throw a good one, considering Olivet had a couple of aces on the mound yesterday. Tyler Gertine started game 2 after game 1 was pitched by Aaron Gustafson. Ball outside, 1-0 on Schoonover. Both pitchers did some things in yesterday's games that would have Olivet's coaching staff really happy, but neither was able to come away with a victory. So today the Tigers try to avoid a sweep. Ball outside, 2-0. St. Francis is 4-8 overall. Olivet is 2-8, and of course, Saints are 2-0. The Tigers 0-2 in CCAC play as they opened up the conference schedule yesterday. 2-0 on Schoonover with 2 outs and nobody on. He swings and misses. It's 2-1. Wasn't just their open to conference play, it was the open to conference play in the CCAC. No other team has played a conference game yet. 2-1 pitch. Chopped to first base. Gloved by Fisher. He carries it to the bag himself. 3 unassisted as the 1-2-3 inning comes to a close. We'll head to the second. 1-0 Olivet. Top of the second inning coming up. Olivet ready to bat for the second time with Mason Sherrill leading things off. Sherrill is the left fielder today, and he misses on the bunt attempt for strike one. Mason Sherrill this season hitting .333. Easy math on that one. He's 1 for 3 with 1 run scored. Did start one of the 2 games yesterday. That was his first start of the year. Now back-to-back games, he's in the lineup. Strike called. It's 0-2. Nick Villasenor pitching with a 1-0 deficit. Gave up a run on 2 hits in the first inning. He was able to escape any further damage, though, by getting Tyler Fisher to ground out to end the inning with a man on base. Ball outside, 1-2. St. Francis started the year 1-6 on their season-opening road trip. They returned home on Saturday, and since then they've gone 3-2 over 5 home games. Ball outside, 2-2. One more game today, and then they hit the road again. Tomorrow, they will be at Purdue Northwest. Afternoon start time there. Popped up on the infield. Shortstop Noah Carraro is under it. At the edge of the outfield grass, he makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Leadoff man retired in the second, and Rod Lucas will hit with 1 out, nobody on. Tomorrow is the end of a stretch of 5 straight days with at least 1 game. It's 7 games over 5 days for the Fighting Saints, and a tough bit of scheduling has left them scrambling a bit on the pitching staff, but they got a big shot in the arm yesterday. Rod Lucas takes strike one. Yesterday they got deep performances from Angel Sandoval, who pitched a complete game in a 7-inning contest, and then Colin Kelly, who likewise went 7 innings. That was in a 9-inning game. Swing and a miss, 0-2. So they only needed 2 total innings in a doubleheader out of their bullpen. And that was after using up every arm they had, every healthy arm they had over the weekend. 0-2 on Lucas. Villasenor's trying to put him away. Line drive to the third baseman and over the head of Jonathan Wolf, out of his reach. Rod Lucas motors around first base, trying for 2. The throw comes in, and Lucas is out. Over aggressive on the base paths, Rod Lucas is thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double. Give Sean Harper the assist on the play, as there's the second out of the inning. Lucas has got some speed, and I was watching him the whole way. Didn't hesitate for a moment. He knew out of the batter's box that he wanted a double out of that, and he's not able to get it. He will get credit for the hit, but he's thrown out on the play by left fielder Sean Harper, which means that Nathan Moonen has to bat with 2 outs and nobody on. And Moonen takes ball 1. He grounds the next pitch to the left side. Backhanded stop by Carraro. He picks it up in the hole, and the throw to first is not in time. Infield hit for Nathan Moonen. A tough play by Carraro. He really had no chance after that ball hit off of his glove, but even if he had played it cleanly, it would have been a close play at first base. Regardless, there's a man at first base with 2 outs, and the number 9 hitter, Logan Matson, gets his first chance against Villasenor. Logan Matson takes ball 1 low. Matson, the third baseman and number 9 hitter, batting .182 this year, 2 for 11 with 3 runs scored. He's driven in 1. Ground ball to third. Jonathan Wolf gloves it on the short hop, sets his feet, fires to first, and Matson is retired to end the inning. No runs in the inning despite a couple of base runners. Olivet leaves a man at first, and we go to the bottom of the second with the Tigers leading the Saints 1-0. Bottom of the second inning, the Saints were set down in order by Graham Burke in the first. And Josh Tesh stands in, trailing 1-0 as Burke misses the strike zone high for a 1-0 count. Tigers of Olivet Nazarene did not see Josh Tesh yesterday. DH today is a .257 batter for the season with some power. He's got 4 extra base hits already as he bounces this one to third. Charging and gloving it cleanly, Logan Matson fires it in the dirt. And Tesh is safe at first base. And what I imagine will go as E5. Leadoff man is aboard for the Fighting Saints. Always a little tougher for a fielder when you have to make the play on the move, but Matson did have time to set his feet, and it was just a bad throw. If Fisher had been able to pick it at first base, it would have been in time to get Tesh. He was not able to pick it. And so the leadoff man reaches in front of Adam Cebulka. Cebulka, the hot-hitting catcher, is batting .308 through 5 games played this year, 3 RBIs. Throw to first base sends Tesh diving back to the bag. Josh Tesh has 1 stolen base this year. Graham Burke keeping an eye on him over at first base. We're early, but he does represent the tying run. Burke's pitch to Cebulka is pushed on the first base side on the bunt. Picked up by the pitcher Burke, who flips it over to first base and gets the out. It's a sacrifice for Cebulka. Tesh moves into scoring position. Good bunt. If he had pushed it a little bit closer to the line, he probably gets a hit out of it. Where he left it, Burke was able to make a pretty nice play to get the out, but the job was done. And Joe McGuire hits with a man at second, 1 down. McGuire is looking for his first hit of the year after he made his season debut yesterday. First pitch from Graham Burke. Paints the inside corner for strike 1. Came on as a late replacement in game 1. And then got the start in game 2. McGuire overall in the doubleheader went 0 for 5. Had a few good swings later in the game yesterday. He'll try for a base hit here to tie the score. Big swing, but he fouls it straight back. Just missed it a little bit underneath. He's behind in the count, 0-2. Noah Carraro is waiting in the on-deck circle. Mentioned before, Graham Burke is, I don't want to say he's feeling a lot of pressure. We're so early in the season, just the 3rd conference game here, that certainly isn't a must-win game for Olivet, but when you send out 2 excellent pitchers the way they did yesterday, you don't expect to lose both games. So that does put just a little bit more pressure on today's pitcher to try to make up for some of those unexpected losses yesterday. Burke's 0-2 pitch to McGuire. Taken for strike 3, and there's out number 2. Second strikeout of the game for Graham Burke. They both come looking. McGuire frozen on that one, and it brings Noah Carraro to the plate with Tesh at second base and 2 outs in the bottom of the second inning, with the Saints trailing the Tigers 1-0. Noah Carraro is hitting .194. He's 6 for 31 so far this year. No extra base hits, 1 RBI. Started them all at shortstop so far. Fouled away. Out of play, strike 1. He and John Peterson have been 2 sure things up the middle. Both of them have started every game at their current position, short and second base respectively, and nobody else on the team can say that they've started every game. 5 of the first 6 batters of the game have been retired by Graham Burke. The only one who wasn't is Josh Tesh, who reached on an error. He's at second base right now. The 0-1. Strike at the knees, 0-2. if Carraro reaches base, Jonathan Wolf will bat next. Graham Burke, a good strike thrower, trying to throw one more here to get out of the inning. He hasn't missed the zone to any of the last three batters. A couple of quick outs on that sacrifice bunt and then a 3-pitch K. Backwards on my score sheet. The 0-2 pitch. Popped up foul to the right side. It may stay in play for Tyler Fisher. The first baseman over in front of the seats cannot make the catch. Saints will get at least one more pitch this inning. That ball landed on the other side of the fence, but if Fisher had gotten over on it a little bit quicker, it was certainly within range to lean over the fence and make the play. The Nets do not go all the way down the foul lines here. They end at the end of the dugout. So that pop-up would have been playable, and if Fisher had played a dozen or so more games in this park, he may have been able to make that play, but still trying to get used to where the warning track and that fence come in. So he was tiptoeing over by the line and wasn't able to get there. Burke turns around to face Josh Tesh at second, does not make a throw. There was nobody covering the bag. Just wants to make sure that the base runner is staying honest. Oh and 2 on the St. Francis shortstop. Here's the pitch. Actually a long pause from Burke, and now he steps off. Looked like Burke was waiting for a long time for Noah Carraro to call timeout, and Noah wouldn't do it, so finally Burke called his own time. Trying to disrupt Josh Tesh at second base apparently right now. They've had either the second baseman or the shortstop creeping in behind him on these last couple of pitches. Now Tesh is all alone as the 0-2 comes in and misses high for ball one. We saw Burke mowing him down in the first inning, got 2 groundouts and a strikeout. Here in the second inning, the leadoff man reached base, and he has exhibited early on that he will slow the game down with a man on. Burke taking his time between each toss, keeping a close eye on the base runner. And now to the plate, the 1-2. Inside, and it hit him. Just barely grazed him. I'm not sure that Noah Carraro felt that one. It may have just brushed by his jersey. Looked like some of that material went fluttering around. He's aboard. And there are 2 on with 2 out for Jonathan Wolf. 2 men on base without the benefit of a hit so far. And now Jeff Mulliken, the manager of Olivet Nazarene, comes out to have a talk with the umpire about whether or not Carraro should have been granted first base. I'm not sure the question is whether or not it hit him, because it did appear to get his jersey. I think it was more, did he or did he not lean into that one? It certainly didn't seem as though he made a significant effort to get out of the way. But he's at first for Wolf. Tesh is at second. First pitch of the at-bat from Graham Burke. Taken for ball one. Wolf ducked down on that pitch. It wasn't coming in high. And if anything, it may have missed inside. Wolf may have just bought the call with his reaction. There's a called strike, 1-1. Tesh reached on an error. Carraro was hit by a pitch. No hits this inning, but there are 2 men on. 1 hit could give the Saints the lead. If it's down the lines or in one of the gaps. The ball is popped up. Left side of the infield. It's in play, fair territory, and it drops. Tesh comes all the way around from second base to score, and we're tied at 1. Initially, that ball looked like it was hugging the line. I don't think we had that significant a breeze right now. That ball may have just had a lot of backspin on it, as the third baseman, Logan Matson, kept drifting further and further towards the shortstop's position, and he just flat out whiffed on it. If there had been 0 or 1 outs on that play, it would have just gone as an infield fly, and everybody would have been out anyway. Since there were 2 outs, Tesh was running on contact, and he comes in to score. An unearned run. As Maffey stands in, Carraro moved up to second base. Wolf is at first. Maffey swings through strike one. Two defensive miscues this inning by Logan Matson to go along with a two-strike hit by pitch on Noah Carraro have made the inning. Maffey, the impressive freshman outfielder, awaits the 0-1 pitch and bounces it to the right side. Ranging to his left is the second baseman Jordan Veldman. He tosses to first and ends the inning. But the Fighting Saints strike for the first time. They leave two men on base as Jonathan Wolf's infield pop-up ends up scoring the first run of the game for St. Francis. We go to the third. It's 1-1. Two innings in, we're tied 1-1. Top of the order due up for Olivet in the third inning. They'll send Veldman, Bizkailus, and Payne to the plate. And the first pitch of the inning is taken outside for ball one. Olivet scored in the top of the first inning when Jordan Veldman doubled and came home on a Jacob Bultheis two-out single. Veldman bats for the second time today and takes ball two. St. Francis was able to answer thanks to a couple of misplays on the infield. Bottom of the second inning, hit by pitch and two errors led to the first run of the game for the Fighting Saints. The ball is ripped out to left field. Sean Harper over on it, but has to play it on a bounce. Jordan Veldman has a single. He's got two hits in the ball game. Leadoff man reaches for the second time in 3 innings. Both times it's been Veldman. 5 hits already in this one for Olivet. They had only 5 hits in yesterday's game 2. 3 of them came in the 9th inning. They had only 3 hits in game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday. But they haven't been able to turn their 5 base runners into a lot of runs early in this one as Bizkailus bunts it back to the pitcher. Picked up by Villasenor, who throws to first for out number 1. Veldman moves up to second base, so it's a good sacrifice for Bizkailus, his second today. He has no official at-bats, as he has bunted out to the pitcher both times up. And the way he has struggled at the plate so far this season, it's got to feel good for Jeff Mulliken that he's able to have his struggling catcher advance base runners without swinging away. Maybe he'll get his confidence up, see if he can get on a roll here as we go forward. Braden Payne takes strike 1. Bizkailus was a much stronger hitter for Olivet last year, so this 3 for 30 that he started the season on is more of a slump, I think, than a long-term trend. Braden Payne came up with a man at third base and only 1 out in the first inning. He couldn't bring him in. Villasenor struck him out. His only strikeout of the game so far came at that huge moment. Payne takes the ball outside, 1-1. This time a runner at second base with 1 out, so a fly ball won't score the run. But a base hit probably will. Olivet tries to recapture the lead after the Saints tied him up in the second, and there is a base hit out to center field. Veldman holds at third base. He froze for an instant as that ball was hit right behind him. He had to peek back to see if the play was going to be made by the shortstop Noah Carraro, and by the time he had ascertained that it was not going to be made, it was a little bit too late for him to try to score. Ball was hit maybe a little too hard by Braden Payne. But Veldman does advance to third on the second hit of the inning for the Tigers, and they've got men at the corners with only one down for Jacob Bulthuis. He's been probably the best hitter in this series for Olivet Nazarene. Reached base 3 times yesterday, and he's 1 for 1 with an RBI today. We're tied at 1 in the top of the third inning. There's a bunt down the first base line. Villaseñor picks it up, throws to first, and he hits him in the back. Everybody is safe. Nope, not the runner at first. He's out. Apparently he was inside the baseline, and so he is ruled out for getting in the way of the throw. Veldman held at third base. Payne advances to second on the runner's interference. Payne is questioning, and so is Jeff Mulliken. You'd have to see that one again. If he's inside the baseline, then that's the right call. He's definitely out. We saw that in the World Series last year. It's a call that you don't see made all that often, but you've got to be running in foul territory if you're going down the first baseline, and he wasn't. It's always a tough one for a runner because eventually you've got to step back inside the line to touch the base, but if the ball hits you when the pitcher is making a direct throw to first base, that is the call. And so Bulthuis is out number 2. It was not a squeeze play on that bunt. The runner at third base held. Veldman did not try to score. Payne has to return to first base on the play, so we're right back to where we started with runners at first and third, but now there are 2 outs in the inning. Tyler Fisher fouls off the first pitch for strike 1. So a break for the Fighting Saints. You can argue it's not so much a break. If he hadn't been running inside the line, he would have been out at first base anyway. The throw would have beaten him. But it's a break because the other runner had to return to first. He doesn't get to advance. Fouled back out of play, and the count is 0-2 on Fisher. So a very dangerous inning for the Fighting Saints, but they're now 1 strike away from getting out of it. Tyler Fisher grounded out to third base to end the first inning. Villaseñor is trying to retire him now to get out of the third inning. Ball outside, 1-2. If Fisher reaches, Mason Sherrill bats next. Olivet trying to recapture the lead. They got a man to third base with less than 2 outs. Line to the shortstop, and the inning is over. Catch made by Noah Carraro, and once again, Olivet does get a man to third base with less than 2 outs, but they leave him there. They leave him at the corners and don't score in the third. As we head to the bottom of the frame, St. Francis will come up in a 1-1 tie. Top of the order for St. Francis, bottom of the third inning. Saints and the Tigers are tied at 1. Sean Harper is the hitter, 0 for 1 so far in the game. First pitch from Graham Burke this inning. It's taken high and away for ball 1. Burke got Harper to ground to the shortstop in the bottom of the first inning. He set the side down in order in the first, but gave up 3 base runners and a run in the second. Ball outside, 2-0. run in the second inning was unearned as Tesh reached on an error and eventually came around on another one. Harper ahead in the count. 2-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. Burke doesn't walk all that many guys in his junior season with Olivet Nazarene now. He's got good control and he hasn't issued any free passes today. This is just the second time he's fallen behind a hitter 2-0. And it's the first time now that he's gone to 3 balls on any batter. 10th man he's faced today. 3-1 on Harper. An aggressive leadoff man. He likes to swing early in the count. This time he's worked it. He's got a good hitter's count of 3 balls to 1 strike. Righty to righty, the next pitch. Swung on, fouled back. Count is 3-2. Shadows are starting to creep in between home plate and the pitcher's mound. Always a good time to be a pitcher for the next 45 minutes or so. Early on in this game, the shadows didn't make any difference. There weren't any on the field because there wasn't any sun. Strike 3 called, and that one breaks over the inside corner. And for the 3rd time today, Graham Burke has struck out a St. Francis batter looking. All 3 of his strikeouts have come looking today, and the leadoff man is retired, bringing up John Peterson. The sun will probably be in and out throughout this game. Clouds are scattered throughout the sky. It's a nice day, though, for the first week of March. Peterson takes ball 1 outside. It's always kind of a crapshoot when you're playing games this time of year, just in terms of what the weather will be. And these 2 squads found that out last week when they had this 3-game series pushed back a couple of different times. It's originally scheduled to start last Tuesday. Peterson takes a strike, 1-1. Here we are instead finishing it up this Tuesday. We had some rain, some snow, some freezing cold temperatures. The last couple of days, though, have been as good as you can ask for. March 2nd and 3rd. Peterson takes the ball. It's 2-1. John Peterson was the first strikeout victim of Graham Burke. He went down looking back in the bottom of the 1st inning. He bats with 1 out and nobody on in the bottom of the 3rd and fouls it back off the screen. It's 2-2. 1 through 3 in the batting order so far have gone 0 for 4 against Burke. He's trying to make it 0 for 5. Peterson makes him work a little harder for it, though, fouling it back. He'll see a 6th pitch in this at-bat. Like St. Francis, Olivet did not have to use much bullpen yesterday. In the 16 innings of the doubleheader, they only used 3 total pitchers. Even though they lost both games, their starters were able to take them deep into each of them. 2-2. Fouled back. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Aaron Gustafson pitched a complete game in Game 1, despite the fact that he gave up 6 runs in the 1st inning and 8 runs overall. After that first, he cruised through the next 6. Another 2-2. Peterson pops it foul and out of play again. He'll see an 8th pitch. So even though the stat line ended up looking ugly, 8 runs allowed, 7 of them earned, he went the distance, 7 innings pitched. And then in Game 2, their starting pitcher was Tyler Gertine, and he was excellent despite taking the loss, allowed only 2 earned runs over his 7 innings. John Peterson is hit by a pitch, and he'll take his base. Second man hit today by Graham Burke, and the Saints get their 4th base runner of the afternoon. Graham Burke has hit 3 batters this season now in just 8 innings pitched. So that's starting to become a problem for him. As good speed stands at first base with a good hitter in the box. Schoonover homered in yesterday's Game 2. 6th inning long ball, his first home run of the year. Takes ball 1 outside here. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out. Good at bat for Peterson. He fell behind in the count 1-2. Fouled off 3 2-strike pitches, though, and finally, on the 8th toss of the at-bat, he's sent packing down to first base. 1-0 to Schoonover. Bounced foul down the first baseline. It's 1-1. No hits for the Saints through 2 1/3 innings, but they've had 4 men reach base. Either errors or hit by pitches. This is a team that entered the game with a .243 team average. More respectable .315 on base percentage. Throw to first base. Peterson dives back in safely. Josh Tesh waits in the on-deck circle. Barring a double play, he'll come up at some point in this bottom of the third. 1-1, we're tied. 1-1 is the count as Burke sets for the next offering to Schoonover. Line drive into center field. It bounces in front of Rod Lucas. A hit for Schoonover. First solid single of the day for St. Francis as Peterson advances to second base. 2 on, 1 out for Tesh. Josh Tesh reached on a third baseman's throwing error. When he led off the bottom of the second inning, he eventually came in to score the first run of the game for St. Francis, and now he's got a chance to produce a run from the other side, trying to knock one in. Tesh is tied for the team lead with 6 RBIs this year. Peterson's at second, Schoonover's at first. Burke, the right-hander, comes set. And the first pitch to DH Josh Tesh, taken for ball 1. Burke struggling with his command now. He got ahead of just about everybody the first 2 innings. He hit one batter, but otherwise looked sharp control-wise. He has not been as sharp this inning. Fell behind Harper 3-1 before coming back to put him away. Worked the count against Peterson before he finally hit Peterson. Now he's fallen behind each of the last 2 hitters. He's thrown first pitch ball to everybody up this inning. Pickoff throw back to second. Peterson easily gets back to the bag. Olivet scored first. St. Francis scored second, and now trying to score third as well and take their first lead of the game. Saints never trailed in the first 2 games of this series. Both of those were road games. As the runners go, Tesh takes the ball, the throw goes to third base, and Peterson is out. Peterson out easily at third. Schoonover moves to second base on the back end of that, but now there are 2 outs with a 2-0 count on Tesh. That one nearly hit Josh Tesh. I'm not sure if Peterson either thought it had hit him and slowed down, or if he was just waiting for the hit and run. You can't really do it when the pitch goes behind you as a batter. Peterson was out by a mile at third. 2 down. Still an RBI chance for Tesh. There is a man in scoring position. Difference now is that there are 2 outs instead of the previous 1. So it is up to Tesh to get the job done now here. Doesn't want to rely on Adam Cebulka behind him. If Tesh doesn't reach base, Cebulka won't hit until next inning. Quick meeting on the mound as the catcher Jake Bizkailus goes out to talk with Graham Burke. Burke, very slow worker with men on base, and that was the case in the second inning. It's been the case again here in the third. Right-hander gets the sign in from his senior catcher rather. Pitcher is a junior. Catcher is a sophomore, sorry, Bizkailus in his second season with Olivet. Tesh takes a big cut and misses. Strike 1. Two balls and 1 strike. Burke takes a long look back at second base. Nobody is holding Schoonover on right now, so he takes a decent-sized lead. Burke steps off the rubber and looks Schoonover back to second base. surprised not just by Burke, but pretty much all the pitchers we've seen in this series from Olivet. Really preoccupied with the runners on base. Burke has allowed himself to get, I don't want to say rattled, but at least taking his mind off the hitter somewhat with men on. He's changed his approach dramatically as he stumbles off the mound with time being called in the box. Schoonover is a good base stealer, but not a huge threat to run from second base with 2 outs in the inning. Burke's trying to keep him very close. 2-1. Low and outside, ball 3. And again, we've seen that from a lot of Olivet pitchers in this series, or anybody who's been out there anyway. Certainly was the case with Tyler Gertine in Game 2 yesterday. So I'm not sure if that's the way they're coached by Jeff Mulliken. Seems to be a cultural issue in Bourbonnais. Burke takes another long look in at the catcher Jake Bizkailis. Finally comes set. The right-hander's 3-1 pitch. Ball 4 outside. Third straight base runner for St. Francis. It's the first walk issued by Graham Burke today. Thanks to the caught stealing, the bases are not loaded, but they are at first and second with 2 down for Adam Cibulka. 1-1 tie in the bottom of the 3rd inning as Cibulka stands in for the 2nd time today. No official at bat for the St. Francis catcher. He dropped down a sacrifice his last time, so give him an assist on that run, eventually scoring. Nobody was credited with an RBI for the run. Ball 1 outside on Cibulka. Adam Cibulka has been a good run producer so far this season. Drove in 3 runs in his first 5 games of the season. A couple more yesterday. 5 RBIs for the year. He swings and misses. Count moves to 1-1. Peterson was hit by a pitch. Schoonover singled. Peterson then was caught stealing third base. Tesh walked. First and second with 2 outs thanks to the caught stealing. It's 1-1 on Adam Cibulka. He lines it left side and through the hole for a hit. Travis Schoonover is coming around third base. Mason Sherrill comes up throwing, but it's cut off. The throw goes to second, and it's thrown out to right field. So Schoonover scores. Tesh advances to third base. Adam Cibulka all the way into second on the throwing error. And another error on Logan Matson, who's had some trouble throwing the baseball today. It's now a 2-1 St. Francis lead. So that goes as an RBI single for Adam Cibulka. He picks up his 6th RBI of the season. Schoonover scored. Tesh to second base on the single. And then on the throwing error, Tesh moves to third, Cibulka to second. And now Cibulka heads to the bench to get his catcher's gear on as the courtesy runner, Dolan Nicholson, comes in. Batter is Joe McGuire, trying to extend what is the first lead of the game now for St. Francis at 2-1. McGuire is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. First pitch is over the inside corner on McGuire. No balls, 1 strike. Back-to-back innings. St. Francis has taken advantage of some mistakes made by Olivet Nazarene. The errors and the hit by pitch in the second led to a run, and now in the third, a walk, a hit by pitch. An error involved in there as well as McGuire flies it out to right field. Down the line, it's playable as Jacob Bultice scoots into the corner to make the catch and retire the side. Saints leave a couple of runners in scoring position, but not before they score a run on a couple of hits. And as we head to the 4th, it's 2-1 St. Francis. Top of the fourth inning. Olivet trails for the first time today. They took a 1-0 lead in the top half of the first, but have seen St. Francis claw their way back in front with a run in the second and a run in the third. St. Francis scored in the top of the first inning in both games yesterday, so they never trailed the entire series. Every inning they had the lead. Mason Sherrill checks his swing on the first pitch for ball one. Sherrill is 0 for 1. He popped out to the shortstop his first time up. Late appeal down to first base. Sherrill didn't go. He may have gone, but that's a tough call to make as a first base umpire on a left-handed hitter. Strike called, 1-1. Next pitch from Nick Villasenor is swung on and missed. It's 1-2. So after leading for 16 consecutive innings yesterday, St. Francis found themselves trailing for the first time in the first inning today, but it took them all of 2 innings to get the lead back. So they've been ahead now in 17 of 19 innings played. There's a tapper up the middle, picked up by Villasenor. The pitcher makes the throw to first base, and it's not in time. Sherrill dives headfirst to the bag, and he's just barely able to beat the throw, an infield single. And the leadoff man reaches for Olivet for the third time in 4 innings. Nothing anybody could have done about that one for St. Francis. It was played about as well as it could have been. But Sherrill runs well. He was just barely able to beat it. Touched the bag with his left hand, I think. One of those 2 hands, left or right. I think it was his left that got there first. But he touched the bag just ahead of that throw, reaching the glove of first baseman Joe McGuire. So Villasenor will have to pitch out of trouble again as Rod Lucas bunts it back to the mound. The throw goes to second base, and he's out at second. Close play, a risky play, throwing over to second base. That was a long throw for the pitcher, but he's able to get it there, and 2 bang-bang plays. Sherrill called safe at first, but out at second. Lucas is at first base right now. His sacrifice unsuccessful, so he reaches on a 1-4 fielder's choice. And Nathan Moonen bats with 1 on and 1 out. Throw to first base sends Lucas back to the bag. This is a scenario right here where you definitely have to watch out for a stolen base attempt. Lucas runs well. Villasenor knows that. He throws over to first again. It's not just, though, that Lucas is a speedy base runner. He's got 1 steal in 4 games played this year. It's the fact that he was not able to get the runner over on his bunt attempt. Moonen takes the ball outside, 1-0. And you see that a lot when a guy drops down a sacrifice bunt and it doesn't work. He'll try to make up for it by getting himself to second base because he was unable to get his teammate there. Strike called, 1-1. And if Lucas can steal second base, it'll work out just as if the bunt had been successful. Certainly no guarantee that he's going to be running, but just something you got to watch out for if you're St. Francis here. 1-1. Strike over the outside corner, 1-2. Nick Villasenor starting for the second time in 4 days, just 2 days rest in between his starts, but on Saturday didn't have to work too hard. Ball outside, 2-2. 1 on, 1 out. Top of the 4th inning. 2-1 is the score in favor of St. Francis. Actually, for the St. Francis southpaw, it wasn't Saturday, it was Sunday that he started. It's only 1 day rest between starts, but he only went 1 inning in that game. Foul ball hit by Moonen. Still 2-2. Tough to manage your pitching staff, your Brian Mahalik, with all these games in a short period of time. But again, he got a big boost yesterday from his 2 starters both going 7 innings. That ball is golfed into center field. Coming in, Maffey makes a sliding play for out number 2. Not a great read off the bat by Maffey on a tough ball hit low in the sky out in center field. It was tough to make that play in straightaway center. So he didn't read it well off the bat, but he was able to recover and make a sliding grab for the second out of the inning. Rod Lucas returns to first base. He stands there with 2 outs for Logan Matson. Saints used all of their pitchers over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, but most of them only pitched a couple of innings, leaving just about everybody available for today. Obviously, the 2 pitchers who went 7 innings each yesterday are not going to pitch today. Logan Matson takes strike 1. Matson is 0 for 1 with a ground out. Once you get into conference play and things become a little bit more uniform, usually with 3 games during the week and 3 games on the weekend, it becomes a little easier to determine who's going to pitch and when. Matson fouls one back, 0-2. Non-conference season, though, is so jumbled with the schedule, and you have all those postponements always with weather, so you never know exactly when games are going to be played. It's harder to manage the entire roster. Once you get into April, for sure, that's cleaned up. Lucas runs. The pitch is fouled off to the right side, and McGuire watches it land in the seats. Still 0-2 on Logan Matson. Mason Sherrill led off the inning with an infield single. Rod Lucas tried to bunt him to second base, but was unsuccessful. It was a fielder's choice, 1-4. Sherrill was retired. And then Moonen flew to center. So Lucas stuck at first base for the moment. Another 0-2 pitch, misses outside this time. 1-2 on Matson. Lucas was not running that time. Olivet has left 4 men on base through 3 innings. Ball outside, 2-2. If Matson is not able to get Lucas around from first base, or at least keep the inning alive, it'll be 5 stranded base runners in 4 innings, including at least 1 in each inning so far. 2-2, Lucas goes. Line drive to the left side and out of the reach of Carraro into left field. Lucas around second base, heads for third and makes it in just ahead of the tag. A good throw from Sean Harper made it close, but Lucas is safe at third base. Heady base running. Matson has a single, and they're at the corners with 2 down for the top of the order. Well, the Tigers have certainly had no shortage of base runners today. They've had at least 2 in every inning, and yet have managed only 1 run so far. Jordan Veldman can change that right here. He's 2 for 2 with a single, a double, and so far the only run scored for Olivet today. He takes strike 1 over the outside corner. Big at bat here. Nick Villaseñor trying to put a 0 on the scoreboard after the Saints just gave him the lead in the last inning. Next pitch is tapped right back to the mound, picked up by Villaseñor, who throws to first and ends the inning. Again, the left-hander works out of trouble as Olivet leaves 2 more men on base. They've stranded 3 men at third. Sorry, 2 men at third and 1 at second so far in today's game. And as we head to the bottom of the 4th, our score remains 2-1 St. Francis. 2-1 St. Francis in the bottom of the fourth inning. Bottom of the order to up for the Fighting Saints. Noah Carraro set to lead things off against Graham Burke. Burke's first pitch is knocked foul to the left side, strike one. Carraro was behind in the count, a ball and 2 strikes in the second inning when he was hit by a pitch. Just grazed his jersey and kept the inning alive for Jonathan Wolf, who brought home a run. So that hit by a pitch did lead to the first run of the game scoring for the Fighting Saints. Carraro takes a ball low and away, 1-1. Strike over the inside corner, 1-2. Wolf is on deck. Eric Maffey set to follow. Graham Burke trying to clean up some of the control issues that led to him surrendering the lead in the third inning. Ground ball to third base, just inside the line. Picked up by Matson. The throw to first is late. An infield single for Noah Carraro, just hustling down the line on a ball that looked to be routine. Matson made the play. That time he got the throw there, just was a little bit late. So Carraro uses his speed to get on base, leading off the fourth inning. That brings Jonathan Wolf to the plate. Wolf reached on an error and brought home a run in the second inning on a pop-up on the infield that Matson could not handle. This time he shows bunt. The ball goes over his head, off the glove of Vizcailus, but Carraro does not advance. It's 1-0 on Wolf. Carraro was taking a good lead waiting for that bunt, but when he saw Jonathan Wolf pull the bat back, he went back to first base to make sure that he didn't stray too far and get picked off. But when the ball bounced out of the catcher's glove, he probably would have been able to make it to second base. However, his momentum was already going back to first. And if he had stopped, turned around, and gone down to second, it just would have been a big to-do. Vizcailus, by that point, would have recovered. Throw over to first base. Carraro gets back in safely. That now watching for the bunt, which Wolf squared up for on the first pitch of the at-bat. Jonathan Wolf, so far this season, does not have a sacrifice. Another throw to first. The runner dives back in safely. Wolf has not shown bunt on any of those pickoff attempts to first base. He does square up again with the next pitch and pulls the bat back to take ball 2. The two things that seemingly have haunted Graham Burke, well, one of them has seemingly haunted him, one of them definitely has haunted him, continue to bother him here in the fourth. He has not had great control, and he just seems to be a little bit too preoccupied with the base runners. Every time there's a man on, it's just taking his attention away from the batter. Wolf gets the bunt down, a great bunt on the third base line. Sliding stop, Matson throws to first in time. Good play made by Matson that time. He's had a very tough day defensively so far, having committed 3 errors, but that time he's able to make a good sliding play and retire the batter. It is a successful bunt, though, for Jonathan Wolf as he advances Noah Carraro into scoring position. And with the runner at second, 1 out, the batter is freshman center fielder Eric Maffey. Maffey is 0 for 1. He grounded out to second base. That at bat ended the second inning. Now he can pick up an RBI with a base hit. Maffey started game 1 of yesterday's doubleheader and was fantastic. Trying to capitalize on that and bring it over to today as he grounds one up the middle, ranging to his left. The shortstop Moonen gloves it behind the bag, throws to first, and gets Maffey by half a step. Close play at first base. Second time this inning that a Fighting Saint has hit a ground ball on the infield and has nearly beaten it out on a play in which Nathan Moonen, the shortstop, couldn't have made it any better. He shuffled to his left, got in front of that ball, quick release over to first base. It was a strike to the first baseman Fisher. Just barely got Maffey. Carraro advances to third on the play, but now with 2 down, it's up to Sean Harper to get him in. Harper has grounded out and struck out. He's 0 for 2. Swing and a miss, strike one. Ferraro led off the inning with an infield single. He's been rounding the bases ever since. Ball outside, 1-1. Saints scored a run in the second, one in the third. Trying to make it 3 straight innings with at least 1 run. They'll need to do it with 2 outs. Ball in the dirt, it gets away from Vizcailus, and Carraro comes in to score. The wild pitch brings home Noah Carraro. It's 3-1 St. Francis. Saints play a little small ball here in the fourth. Carraro reaches on an infield single, moves to second on a bunt, to third on a ground out, and he scores on a wild pitch. Foul tipped into the catcher's glove, 2-2. Kind of a bizarre offensive game for St. Francis. They scored in the second inning without a hit, and they score a run in the fourth inning without ever hitting the ball out of the infield. Harper takes ball 3. Most of Olivet didn't think so, including their pitcher Graham Burke. He had taken about a step and a half towards the dugout. Everybody else behind him took a half step or so towards the dugout and had to quickly go back to their spots. 3-2. Ground ball left side. Another chance for Matson. Throw to first base is picked up by the first baseman Tyler Fisher. The inning is over. For the third straight inning, the Saints get a run on 1 hit. No errors this time and nobody left. We go to the 5th. 5 innings still to play. Our score is 3-1 St. Francis. Three to 1, St. Francis has extended their lead on Olivet Nazarene. Olivet scored a run in the first. The Saints answered with single tallies in the second, third, and fourth. And now Olivet gets their 5th chance at bat against Nick Villasenor as Vizcailus leads things off. Swings at the first pitch and misses for strike 1. It's the first swing that Jake Vizcailus has taken today. His 2 previous plate appearances came with men on base, and both times he dropped down a sacrifice bunt. This time that's not an option with nobody on. He'll swing for it, and he takes a strike over the inside corner, 0-2. So it hasn't started the way that he's wanted to. But neither has this season for the sophomore Jake Vizcailus. Still trying to get in the swing of things. 3 for 30 at the plate. Ball outside, 1-2. Villasenor does have 1 strikeout today. It was the 3rd batter of the game. Hasn't gotten anybody since then. That was at a big moment with a man at 3rd and less than 2 outs. A run ended up scoring anyway, but at the moment at least, It was a big strikeout. Yeah, that's a pretty good looking strikeout too. Vizcailus goes down looking. Second K on the score sheet today for Nick Villasenor. He's retired leadoff man in the fifth after sitting down the last batter in the fourth. He'll try to make it 3 in a row here against Braden Payne. For as effectively as he has pitched today, he hasn't allowed, or I should say he hasn't retired, 3 straight batters all game. Nubbed foul to the right side by Braden Payne. Strike 1. Payne is 1 for 2. He singled in the third. Struck out swinging in the first. The 0-1. Ball in the dirt. 1-1. One out, nobody on. Payne is the number 3 hitter. He takes a strike over the outside corner. He's the one who struck out first time through the batting order. Villasenor went 4 more innings before notching his second strikeout, but he got Vizcailus looking just moments ago. Now it's 1-2 on Payne, who grounds it to the shortstop. On the move inward, Carraro gloves it and throws over to first for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down in the fifth. Villasenor has gotten through 1, 2, and 3 in the batting order. And now he'll face Jacob Boltais with 2 outs and nobody on. He's been a tough out all week. Boltais 1 for 2 in this game with an RBI single back in the first, the only RBI of the game for Olivet. First pitch he sees is taken for strike 1. In his last at bat, he dropped down a bunt, trying to reach on a hit and advance the base runners in the process. It looked like he had done at least one of those 2 things. Ball low and in, 1-1. When Nick Villasenor's throw hit him in the back on his way down to first base, but it was ruled that he had stepped inside the baseline, so he was called out. The runners had to return to their bases. Ground ball to the left side, under the glove of a diving Jonathan Wolf and booted by Noah Carraro. Boltais is safe at first. I'm not sure if that'll go as a hit or an error. It's a tough one. It's Wolf diving in front of Carraro. I think Wolf kind of got in the shortstop's way a little bit. I think that's why Carraro was not able to pull it in. It was a softly hit ball. I'm not sure they would have gotten Boltais at first base, but we'll never know. Tyler Fisher takes ball 1 outside. Had the Saints made that play and gotten Boltais out at first base, it would have been the first 1-2-3 inning of the game for either side since the top of the first. Well, the bottom of the first, rather. That ball is low, 2-0. Saints were retired in order in the first. Tigers have not been set down 1-2-3 all game, but they've left 6 men on base and have scored only 1 run. Strike call, 2-1. Tyler Fisher is grounded to third. He's lined out to short. Fisher was a .233 hitter at the beginning of play today. Grounds this one down the third base line, just inside the line. Sliding stop by Wolf. Strong throw to first, and a good pick by Joe McGuire. The inning is over. That's some good infield defense right there, both ends of the field. Excellent plays by Wolf and McGuire. And Olivet does not score in the fifth. They leave a man at first, their 7th stranded base runner today. We'll head to the bottom of the frame. 3-1 St. Francis. Peterson, Schoonover, and Tesh due up for the Fighting Saints in the bottom of the fifth inning as they try to expand on a 3-1 lead over Olivet. First pitch from Graham Burke misses low and away, ball one. John Peterson is 0 for 1. He struck out looking in the first inning. In the third inning, he was hit by a pitch and was ultimately caught stealing. He flies this ball in the center field. Long run back for Rod Lucas. Lucas still going, but he's able to make the catch on the run. Good read on that ball from the center fielder as Peterson is retired for the first out. Lucas had a long way to go, but he saw it the whole way and made that catch rather cavalierly, going back and to his right. Leadoff man is retired on the second pitch of the fifth inning. Here's Schoonover with 1 out and nobody on. Schoonover is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. He scored the go-ahead run in the bottom of the third. St. Francis tied it in the second, went ahead in the third, added an extra run in the fourth. Handcuffed so far in the fifth inning as the leadoff batter was retired. Now Travis Schoonover takes ball one. Josh Tesh is on deck. If anybody reaches then, it'll be Adam Cebulka. Schoonover grounds it through the hole on the right side, so somebody has reached. Travis Schoonover now 2 for 3. His second single of the game. He's had a nice couple of days here for the Fighting Saints. Homered yesterday. A couple of hits and a run scored in this game. And Josh Tesh, who has not yet been retired, bats for the third time. Tesh is 0 for 1. He reached on an error in the second inning. He walked in the third. Tesh scored the first run of the game for St. Francis in the second inning. Made it as far as third base, his second time on. Now he's trying to at least advance the base runner from first if he doesn't get on for a third time. Not a ton of hits in this game for St. Francis, and those that they do have stayed on the infield in a couple of cases as Tesh foul tips that one in the catcher's glove for strike one. All of their hits have been singles. They have 4 of them total. But they've taken advantage of walks, hit batters, and errors, of which there have been plenty on Olivet. There it goes on 0-1. Tesh lines it into left field for a hit. Play right in front of Travis Schoonover. He stops at second. Tesh is on for the third time in the third different way. An error, a walk, and now a hit. And the Fighting Saints are in business. 2 on with only 1 out for Adam Cebulka, who picked up his 7th RBI of the season earlier today. Or his 8th RBI of the season, actually. Or was it his 6th? I'm going through the stats right now. This is his 6th RBI of the season. And played. He pops this ball a foul to the right side and out of play. Strike one. That's a pretty good number. 6 RBIs in 8 games played. He's got a chance for at least one more right here. Schoonover's at second, Tesh is at first. 0-1 on Adam Cebulka from Graham Burke. Cebulka steps out of the batter's box. Burke once again taking his time with men on base. He takes time with men on base, and there have always been men on base ever since the first inning. St. Francis has had a steady stream of them. 10 base runners over the last 3 1/3 innings. In a way, Olivet's fortunate to only be down 3-1. Cebulka flies it into right field deep. Backing up is Jacob Boltice. He's at the warning track. He reaches at the wall, and it's gone. Adam Cebulka goes deep for his 3-run homer, his first of the year. RBIs number 7, 8, and 9, and it's 6-1 St. Francis. That ball had some good carry to it. I didn't think it was going off the bat, but Boltais kept drifting further and further back. He finally, with his back pressed against the wall, had to jump up, and it was just outside the reach of his glove. 4 RBIs today for Cebulka. He's got 6 RBIs in the last couple of games. And Joe McGuire will bat with the bases now empty and 1 out. After the leadoff man was retired, 3 straight have reached, and all on hits this time. St. Francis has earned these runs 100%. Strike 1 called on Joe McGuire. Not that they didn't earn their previous runs, just that there were a few mistakes thrown in there. This time they straight up hit their way to 3 runs. McGuire takes a ball over his head, 1-1. No help coming for Burke right now. The Olivet bullpen is empty. McGuire has struck out and flown out, still looking for his first hit of the year. He takes a ball, and the count is 2-1. Noah Carraro is in the on-deck circle. McGuire already the 5th batter to hit this inning. That ball is crushed into center field. Rod Lucas goes back on it. Lucas is able to make the catch for the 2nd out. Lucas has made a couple of running grabs out in deep center this inning, so St. Francis is really starting to hit the ball harder. Both of their singles this inning were hard hit balls. Their home run obviously was pretty hard hit, and both outs have gone to deep center field. But they are both outs, so with 2 down and the base is empty, it's Noah Carraro's turn. He's been on base twice today. First pitch to him misses inside for ball 1. He's also scored 1 run. One of the 6 now. St. Francis has scored 6 unanswered. Popped up foul to the right side. Not a play. 1-1. Olivet took 3 of 4 from the Fighting Saints last year, including 3 regular season games and then 1 in the CCAC tournament. Now the Fighting Saints are 4 innings away from a 3-game series sweep. Carraro takes outside 2-1, which would not be a bad way to open up conference season. 2-1 wouldn't be a bad way either. Carraro lines it foul to the left side, 2-2. Although at this point 2-1 might be a bad way. Not that you'd be upset about taking 2 of 3, but they've already taken 2 of 2. And now with a 5-run lead at least going into the 6th inning, I think they would be disappointed if they weren't able to finish this one off. Ball high, full count. Jonathan Wolf will bat next if Carraro reaches. Nobody on base. That's because Adam Cebulka cleared them 2 batters ago. He hit a 3-run homer out to right field, his first of the year. 3-2. Looper out to shallow center. Lucas charges in, but has to pull up and play it on a bounce. It's the 4th hit of the inning for the Saints. Carraro's 2nd hit of the game. He's on base for the 3rd time today. And Jonathan Wolf will hit this inning. He's the 7th batter. 7th batter to come up this inning. The 8th batter in the lineup. Wolf has reached on an error, and he's dropped down a sacrifice bunt. So he's hitless, but both of his at-bats have been productive. In opposite ways, they've been productive. Once he should have been out, but ended up on base anyway. The other time he was out because he was trying to be. He was able to move runners up. Strike called over the outside corner on Jonathan Wolf, 0-1. Schoonover singled, Tesh singled, Cebulka hit a 3-run homer. With 2 outs, Noah Carraro has singled. He's at first base right now. The 0-1. Hard grounder up the middle, but that one's in play for Moonen, who flips it over to second just in time. Saints dugout not happy about it. Close play at second base. But Carraro is retired 6-4 on the inning-ending fielder's choice. St. Francis has to settle for 3 runs on the home run from Adam Cebulka. As we go to the 6th, our score is Saints 6, Tigers 1. First pitch in the top of the 6th inning hits Mason Sherrill, and Sherrill heads down to first base as Olivet gets a leadoff base runner. Good start to the inning for the Tigers, who have had no problem getting base runners today. They have had problems getting them in. But the leadoff man reaches for them for the 4th time today in 6 innings. Nick Villaseñor so far has done a good job of pitching around trouble. We'll see if he can do it again now that he does have a bigger cushion. Rod Lucas takes ball 1. Lucas is 1 for 2 in the game with a single and an unsuccessful sacrifice attempt. Bunted into a fielder's choice in the 4th inning. Throw goes to first base to check on Sherrill. 6-1, St. Francis leads on Adam Cebulka's 3-run homer in the bottom of the 5th inning. That broke open what had been a tight game. 1-0 to Lucas. Over the outside corner for a strike. It's 1-1. Good speed over at first base. And Villaseñor knows that. He checks on him, throwing off to first to keep Sherrill where he is. No stolen base attempts this year for Sherrill, but hasn't had a whole lot of chances. This is only his 2nd start of the season. He'd only been on base once prior to this game. He's been on base twice in this one. But we saw how fast he was back in the 4th inning. He reached first base on what looked like a routine ground out. He ended up making it an infield single. Ball 2 on Lucas, 2-1. Olivet has had at least 2 base runners in 4 out of 5 innings today. The only one they didn't was the 5th, in which they stranded just 1 man at first base. Throw to first sends Sherrill diving back head first again. But they've left 7 men on through 5 innings. Next pitch to Lucas is swung on and missed. The count is 2-2. Good work for Nick Villaseñor today. Again, he's given up a lot of base runners, but the ERA is going to look good. The whip maybe not so much, but it's not your biggest concern as a pitcher. It's not letting guys in. So far he hasn't. There is a right-hander throwing in the bullpen right now for St. Francis, so this may be his last inning. He may be removed during this inning, depending on how it goes. So far, though, he's given his team a chance to win. After a rocky start, Olivet scored one in the top of the first inning when Jordan Veldman doubled and Jacob Bultai singled him in, but from that point on, it's been all St. Francis. They've scored the last 6 runs. They've scored in 4 straight innings. Ball outside, full count on Lucas. Everybody who's reached today for Olivet has done so on a hit. They've got 9 hits in the game. Villasenor has not walked anybody yet. And he doesn't walk Lucas as he's called out on strikes. Took a fastball over the inside corner. He tried to check his swing. He may have gone around. It wasn't the call, though. The call was a called third strike. It may have been a strike in 2 different ways. He wanted ball 4 to be called, but he is out number 1 this inning, the 3rd strikeout victim of the game for the St. Francis left-handed pitcher. Throw to first base, and Sherrill wasn't going anywhere that time. Sherrill was hit by the pitch to begin the inning, the first pitch of the inning. He was the 10th base runner of the game for Olivet. He had 9 hits through the first 5. Ball outside, 1-0. Comes the 1-0. Line sharply up the middle, and that's through to center field. It's a hit for Moonen, his 2nd of the game. He's 2 for 3. Sherrill holds up at second base, and another 2-base runner inning for Olivet, their 10th hit of the afternoon. St. Francis, though, is less worried than ever right now about those base runners. A few guys could come in to score without the Saints sweating it too much. Obviously, they don't want Olivet to score if they can help it. But at least with a 5-run lead in the latter half of a game, they can focus on getting outs without having to worry quite as much about the base runners. Logan Matson stands in. Matson's had a rough game in the field, having committed 3 errors. So he'll try to make up for it at the plate right now. Ball outside, 1-0. He already does have 1 hit. 1 for 2 in the game with a 4th inning single. Meeting on the mound between pitcher and catcher before the next pitch. Alex Lemons continues to throw down in the St. Francis bullpen. Sherrill's at second. Moonen is at first, 1 out in the top of the 6th inning. Lefty pitcher, righty batter. Look back to second base and a throw to second base, and Sherrill dives back in ahead of it. 1-0 still on Logan Matson. Jordan Veldman is on deck. That's a dangerous batter. So this becomes a big at bat right now for Villasenor to not allow Veldman to come up either with 3 men on base or with some runs in. Ball outside, 2-0. Pitch, lifted into right center field. Chasing it back into the alley is the center fielder Eric Naffey, and he can't reach it. It drops in for a base hit. 2 men trying to score. They're right on top of each other. The throw to the plate. The first runner is safe, and now the second one tries to score, and he's safe. Sherrill and Moonen both come in on a double for Logan Matson. Matson takes 3rd on the throw home, and it's a 6-3 game. Big hit for Matson, who again has struggled on the defensive end, but he has indeed made up for it with some big hits on this side. And that was a weird one. Moonen was at first base. He held up to see if that ball was going to be caught. When it wasn't, he was right on the heels of Sherrill. Had an accurate throw come into the plate, they both would have been out. It would have been one of the weirdest double plays you've ever seen, but it was a bad throw to the plate. Both men were safe. And on that throw, Matson went to third. That's going to do it for Nick Villasenor. New pitcher coming in for St. Francis. 6-3 game. 1 out. A man at third base in the top of the 6th inning. I'll take a break. Back in a moment with more on the new pitcher. Six to 3 is the score now. St. Francis leads Olivet Nazarene, top of the 6th inning. And the top of the order up for Olivet as Jordan Veldman takes the first pitch from Alex Lemons outside for ball 1. Lemons is the new pitcher, coming into the game with a runner at third base and 1 out. 2 runs are already in for the Tigers this inning. Jordan Veldman 2 for 3 in the game with a single, a double, and a ground out. He takes one in the dirt, 2-0. Lemons has no record in 3 appearances this year, a 1.93 ERA. In 4 2/3 innings, he's allowed a run on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Tough spot for him here, but he does still have that 3-run cushion. 2-0. Over for a strike, 2-1. Nick Villasenor departs after 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 3 runs, all of them earned on 11 hits, no walks. He did hit 1 batter, 3 strikeouts, and the runner at third is his responsibility as well. Fly ball out to deep center field. That's playable for Maffey, who makes the catch, but it's plenty deep enough to score Matson, and we've got a 6-4 game. Sacrifice fly for Veldman. So he's got 2 hits and an RBI now in the game for Veldman. That's the 6th RBI of the season. And it closes the book on the St. Francis starter. Villasenor, 5 1/3 innings. He ends up allowing 4 runs on 11 hits. All 4 of the runs are earned, but he is in line for the victory, which would be his first of the season. Jake Biscailus bats with the bases empty and takes ball 1. Well, if you're St. Francis, you hate to see that runner score from third base, but nice to see the reset now with nobody on. Biscailus takes a ball, 2-0. Olivet got 2 runs on a weird play earlier this inning, a double hit out to right center field by Logan Matson. Runners held in case that ball were going to be caught. That ball is bounced down the third base line just over the bag. It's fair. Wolf long throw to first, and McGuire can't pick it out of the dirt. So Biscailus is aboard. Let's see if that goes as a hit or an error. Either way, there's a man at first base with 2 outs. Biscailus on for the first time today. That throw from third base has been a problem all day for whoever's been over there. We've seen McGuire make a couple of nice picks today. That time he couldn't quite pull it out of the dirt. So the batter is Braden Payne, 4th base runner of the inning. Back to that 2-run double hit by Logan Matson. An accurate throw to the plate would have seen 2 outs because both Moonen and Sherrill were a little late to get to the plate. as the throw came in, but the throw was in the dirt and it was in the batter's box, a little bit wide of Adam Cibulka, and so he had to block it rather than making the catch and applying the tag. As a result, both runs scored. First pitch to Braden Payne is taken for strike one. First time that Lemons has been able to get ahead of a batter since coming in. He had been behind both Veldman and Vizcailus 2-0. No balls and one strike. Lemons throws over to first base to check on the catcher, Jake Vizcailus. The 0-1 just misses for a ball, and the count is even. Saw a couple of good pitchers games yesterday. Game one of the doubleheader yesterday afternoon was an 8-0 final, but aside from one inning, it was a well-pitched game. Game two was a pitcher's duel all the way through. So we got a little something different today. This game has been very offensive. Base runners galore for both teams, and we've seen 10 runs put on the board in 5.5 innings. Hard grounder, left side, diving play made by Carraro. The throw to second is in time. Great play by the shortstop to end the inning on the 6-4 fielder's choice. Saints get out of it, but Olivet scores 3 runs, a couple of hits, a big 2-run double from Logan Natson. And as we head to the bottom of the 6th, the score is St. Francis 6, Olivet Nazarene 4. St. Francis 6, Olivet Nazarene 4 as we move into the bottom of the 6th inning. And the first pitch is roped down the third base line by Eric Maffey off the glove of the third baseman Matson. It ricochets over to the shortstop Noonan, and Moonan's throw to first base is late. So Maffey is aboard on an infield hit to start the 6th inning. That was one of the harder hit balls we've seen all day, even though it didn't go that far. It was right to the third baseman. Matson had an opportunity to make the play, but just didn't have a lot of time to react. Maffey is aboard for the first time today. Leadoff man reaches against Graham Burke, and we're back to the top of the order. And Sean Harper, who swings the first pitch, pops it behind home plate and out of play. Strike one.
Oh, see? Told you, man.
Sean Harper is 0 for 3 today with a couple of groundouts and a strikeout. St. Francis has led most of the way in this game. Olivet scored a run in the top of the first, and then the Saints responded with at least one run in 4 straight innings. The lead was 3-1 before an Adam Cibulka 3-run homer in the bottom of the 5th. That created a little breathing room, but that breathing room was taken right back by Olivet as they answered with 3 runs in the top half of the 6th inning. 0-1 and a throw to first base. gets the sign and sets. The 0-1 pitch. Foul back behind home plate. Out of play once again. It's 0-2. Action in the Olivet bullpen for the first time today. Burke has been out there the entire way, pitched a 1-2-3 first inning. He has struggled since then. Trying to keep his team in the game here, following up a big offensive inning with a shutdown bottom half of the frame. As Harper takes the ball, the count is 1-2. Closing in on 100 pitches for the game. Next one will be number 94. Throw to first base. Maffey back in. Maffey takes his lead away from first. Burke takes a look at him once again. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Sean Harper. Harper golfs it down the right field line, foul territory towards the Olivet bullpen and over their heads onto the berm down the right field line. The count is still 1-2. Harper's fouled off 3 pitches already in this at bat. John Peterson waits in the on-deck circle, and barring a double play, it'll be Travis Schoonover after that. St. Francis has the lead late. It was a 5-run lead. Now it's down to 2 runs. Trying to capture their 3rd straight contest from their conference rivals. Maffey takes off. The pitch is outside for a ball. Throw to second. Not in time. Close play at second base. Not a bad throw from Vizcailus, even though he threw from his knees. Maffey is able to touch the bag just ahead of the tag, though. The count is 2-2 on Sean Harper, and now there's a man in scoring position with nobody out. Harper can extend the lead right back to 3 with a single here. Good speed over at second base. We just saw that in action. Tapped back to the mound. Maffey has to stay put as Burke throws to first. There's the first out. Harper now 0 for 4 in the game. He's grounded out 3 times. And John Peterson bats for the 4th time. Peterson is 0 for 2 today, but he was hit by a pitch back in the 3rd. So he has been on base once. First pitch of the at-bat is high, 1-0. John Peterson entered yesterday's game hitting close to 380. He ended up not getting a hit in the entire doubleheader. However, he reached base 3 times. Twice on walks, once on an error. Similarly today, he doesn't have a hit, but he's been on once. Pickoff throw back to second, and Maffey easily gets back to the bag. One 1-0 on Peterson, the number 2 batter in Brian Mahalik lineup today. All 2 upstairs on Peterson. 2-0. Actually, 2 players now getting loose in Olivet's bullpen. A righty and a lefty. The lefty has just started to play light catch. So it doesn't appear as though he's getting ready to come in. Strike called over the outside corner on Peterson, 2-1.
So the nice restaurant is going to be in that big 3-story. Yeah, that's going to be the upscale restaurant right there.
Man at second base, 1 out. 2-run lead for St. Francis in the bottom of the 6th inning. Peterson bunts it back towards the mound, picked up by the pitcher. Burke's throw to first is in time. Maffey advances to third base. Didn't look like Peterson was trying to sacrifice himself there. He wanted a hit.
Not in that 3-story, but is it going to open in the restaurant?
But at least he gets the consolation of having moved the runner. Travis Schoonover will try to get him in.
Waiting to go up.
Schoonover is 2 for 3 today with a couple of hard singles and 2 runs scored. The umpires are having a little talk before we continue. Jake Bizkailus has gone back to the dugout to talk with his head coach. Jeff Mulliken has a few words for the home plate umpire as well. I'm not sure what the issue was there. He had some question about the play. Schoonover is the batter. We're ready to continue. Travis Schoonover takes ball 1. Maffey led off the inning with an infield single. He stole second, moved up to third on Peterson's bunt. Schoonover hits a sharp grounder right to the second baseman. An easy play for Jordan Veldman, who throws him out at first base and ends the inning. Leadoff single does not lead to any runs as Maffey is stranded at third. We go to the 7th with 3 innings to play. Our score is St. Francis 6, Olivet 4. Alex Lemons is out there for another go after he got the final 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning. He's pitching in the 7th to the 4, 5, and 6 batters for the Tigers, Boltice, Fisher, and Sherrill. First pitch is lined softly into center field and down for a hit. Just like the first pitch in the bottom of the 6th inning. First pitch in the top of the 7th results in a base runner. A single for Boltice, his 3rd hit of the game. And the tying run will come to the plate here in the 7th inning. It's Tyler Fisher. The onslaught continues for both offenses. It's the 12th hit already in this game for an Olivet Nazarene team that was held to a grand total of 8 of them during yesterday's doubleheader. Tyler Fisher is 0 for 3. Takes the first pitch strike. All 3 of his outs ended previous innings. He was robbed by Jonathan Wolf and Joe McGuire, who combined to make a nice play back in the 5th inning to retire him and hold Olivet off the scoreboard in that inning. Tigers scored a run in the 1st, 3 in the 6th. They've left 8 men on base so far today. Ball low and away, 1-1. Lemons checks first base. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Grounded to short. Carraro dives in front of it, flips it over to second for the force. Peterson turns it in time. A double play, 6-4-3. And there are 2 outs. The bases are now empty. We've seen some defensive mistakes by both teams today, but it really doesn't get any better right now than the 2 men up the middle for St. Francis. Carraro and Peterson can turn them with the best of them. That was another fine play by the shortstop. It was a close play at second. Fisher does not run quite as well, and he was easily out at first as Mason Sherrill pops the first pitch he sees from Lemons out to left field, fouling out of play. Strike one. Mason Sherrill has a single. He's been hit by a pitch, and he has scored a run today. So he's reached in 2 of his 3 plate appearances. No balls and a strike. Next pitch misses low, and the count is even, 1-1. Rod Lucas stands on deck. But Lemons is trying to face the minimum in the 7th, something that hasn't happened against this offense today. Looped out to left center field, and doesn't appear that it'll happen in this inning either. Sherrill has another hit. His second of the game, 3rd straight at bat in which he's reached base. Second hit of the inning for the Tigers. They've got 13 hits in the game, including 2 in 6 out of 7 innings. I'm sure they're not all that happy with the fact that they only have 4 runs on those 13 hits, but it's a step in the right direction for a team that entered today's game hitting just .230 as a team. Rod Lucas has 1 of the 13 hits. He's 1 for 3 as he bats for the 4th time and takes strike 1 over the inside corner. Only Jake Biscailus and Tyler Fisher do not have safeties for Olivet today. Everybody else has at least 1. Fisher is 0 for 4. Biscailus is 0 for 2, but he has dropped down 2 sacrifice bunts. In the dirt, it gets away from Cebulka, and on the wild pitch, Mason Sherrill advances to second base. 1-1 on Lucas. And another man in scoring position for Olivet. They trail by 2, but it once was 5. They're trying to pull off the late innings comeback. And 1. Lucas takes a ball outside, 2-1. Like Olivet, St. Francis has had a steady stream of base runners. They've been able to capitalize a little bit more frequently. They've left just 6 men on through 6 innings, compared to the 8 for Olivet. Lemons is trying to strand another man in scoring position. Sherrill's at second with 2 outs. 2-1 on Lucas. And Lucas takes a ball off the inside corner. 3 balls and 1 strike. Next pitch misses inside as well, so Lucas draws the walk. Just the 2nd walk issued by Lemons in 6 innings pitched this year. And it is kind of amazingly, considering how often the Tigers have had guys running the bases. That's the 1st walk of the game issued by St. Francis. It's Rod Lucas who's at first. Mason Sherrill's at second base. The batter's Nathan Moonen, who swings at the first pitch, grounds it to third. Jonathan Wolf grabs it, takes 1 step to the bag, and ends the inning 5 unassisted on the fielder's choice. And Olivet doesn't score despite 2 hits and a walk. They leave 2 more. Time to stretch here in Joliet. Our score is 6-4 Saints. we move into the bottom of the 7th inning. Our score is 6-4 St. Francis. New pitcher on the mound for Olivet. And his first pitch is taken for strike 1 by Josh Tesh. Tesh has had a nice game. 3 times up, 3 times on. He reached on an error and scored in the 2nd, walked in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 5th. This one misses low. Count is 1-1. Not sure who this new pitcher is, to be honest with you. Number 17 for Olivet. That makes things difficult because they don't have a number 17. Weak grounder to the right side. It had some weird spin to it, though, and off the hand of Tyler Fisher. Tesh is aboard at first base. A little nubber to the right side. It rolled in front of the bag. Fisher got in front of the ball, and it just hopped at a 90-degree angle, it seemed. Fisher reached out his bare hand but couldn't make the play. That's a tough break for Olivet. I don't know that Fisher could have done anything more than he did. It just had some weird spin. And so Tesh is aboard for the 4th time, and the batter is Adam Cebulka. Cebulka is 2 for 2. He takes a strike. And an RBI single in the 3rd, a 3-run homer in the 5th. He's also got a sacrifice bunt, something he would like to do again right now. Throw to first base. Tesh is back. His 3-run homer back in the 5th inning turned a 6-1 game into a 6-4 game. Or I should say, turned a 3-1 game into a 6-1 game as he bunts this one in front of the plate. Picked up by the catcher, Bizkailus, who throws to first in time. Tesh is up to 2nd base. Cebulka is out on a successful sacrifice, his 2nd such result of the day. So there have been 2 at-bats in which he's swung away, and both times he's gotten RBI hits. 2 at-bats in which he's bunted, and both times his sacrifice has been successful. Cebulka's had a perfect day. Tesh is in scoring position with 1 down for Joe McGuire. McGuire's 0 for 3 with a strikeout and 2 flyouts. Strike 1 called. Final numbers today for Graham Burke as he stands in line for the defeat. He went 6 innings. He gave up 6 runs, all of them earned on 8 hits. Struck out 3, all of them early in the game. Ground ball left side, diving stop by the shortstop Moonen, and he doesn't have a play. Infield hit for Joe McGuire, his first hit of the season. Good to see him get off the schneid. Tesh is unable to advance on a ball hit in front of him. Moonen didn't make a throw. If he had, I think Tesh would have gone to 3rd, and that's exactly why Moonen didn't make the throw to 1st. That brings up Noah Carraro with runners at 1st and 2nd and 1 out. He's not been retired today. 2 for 2 with a couple of singles. A hit by pitch, 1 run scored. Strike 1 called. Olivet scored a run in the 1st inning on an RBI single from Jacob Bultice. St. Francis got single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 1 on an error, 1 on a Cebulka RBI single, and 1 on a wild pitch. Ball low, 1-1. Then in the 5th, they broke open the close game with a 3-run Cebulka homer, making it 6-1. And it's a good thing they got that home run because immediately after they did, Olivet made their charge. 3 runs in the top of the 6th inning. They got a 2-run double from Logan Matson and then a sacrifice fly from Jordan Veldman. Ball downstairs, the runners take off and advance. As the count moves to 2-1, McGuire into 2nd, Tesh into 3rd. As soon as that ball hit the ground, Tesh was off, and Bizkailus couldn't find it. So they were able to advance easily without a throw. So that takes the force at 2nd and 3rd out of effect. It means you're not likely to see a double play here. It also means that Noah Carraro can get a run in with a fly ball. He could get 2 runs in potentially with a hit. Vizcailos talking things over with the man on the mound. My best guess is Nolan Belshner, 6'5" tall freshman. But again, that's just a guess. They don't have a 17 listed on their roster. And this is number 17 pitching. Two and one is the count. Make it 3-1. Jonathan Wolf is on deck. He could bat with the bases loaded on one more ball. Strike 2 called instead. Just to finish up the final stats on Graham Burke. He struck out 3, all of them in the first 3 innings. He walked just 1 in the game, but he hit 2 batters. And those control problems did lead to some early St. Francis offense. So Burke is in line for the loss. There's a bouncing ball to the right side of the infield, backhanded by Fisher. Doesn't have a play at home. Instead, he flips to the pitcher, who applies the tag before Carraro can dive into first base for out number 2. However, Tesh scores. It's 7-4 St. Francis. I'm a little surprised right there that Fisher didn't just throw the ball home. I'm not sure he would have had the runner at the plate, but it was just as tough a play flipping it over to the pitcher covering first. And they are just barely able to get the out at first, not on the force, but on the tag. It's an RBI for Noah Carraro, so the first time he doesn't reach base today. But it turns out to be a productive at-bat anyway, as he drives in a run and makes it a 3-run lead for St. Francis at 7-4. 3-1 on the putout there. McGuire advanced to third on the play. Meeting on the mound, a quick talk with the umpire on the way back to the dugout. Jonathan Wolf stands in, ready to continue the inning. Wolf is 0 for 2. He's got a sacrifice, a ground out, and he's been on via the error. That error scored the first run of the game for the Saints. He swings the first pitch and grounds it foul past third base, strike 1. Nolan Belshner is a 6'5" tall, 180-pound right-hand freshman. That looks about right for the guy on the mound. Ball low and away, 1-1. Belshner this season 1-0 with a 3.86 ERA coming in. 1 run is in here in the 7th on 2 hits, a sacrifice, and an RBI ground out. 1-1 on Jonathan Wolf. Ball outside, 2-1. Wolf swings on 2-1, bounces it past the St. Francis dugout down the third base line. Count goes to 2-2. In the 8th, Olivet will have their 9-1-2 hitters due up. Logan Matson, Jordan Veldman, and Jake Vizcailos. They'll be chasing at least 3 runs with just 6 outs to go. 2-2 on Wolf. Strike 3 called, and the inning is over. Saints get a run on 2 hits. They leave a man at third base. On our way to the 8th, it's 7-4 St. Francis. Logan Matson leads off the top of the 8th for the Olivet Nazarene Tigers, trailing 7-4. Matson is 2 for 3 in this game with a single, a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Trying to get things started in this 8th inning against Alex Lemons, who misses low for ball 1. And this time yesterday, Olivet trailed St. Francis by 3 runs, but the game felt a little bit different. It seemed out of reach for Olivet. They had only 1 hit through 7 innings. And their offense had just been shut down the whole game. The whole day, really, in the doubleheader. Ball 2 low and away. So 3-0 felt very comfortable for St. Francis, even though it turned out not to be. Tigers mounted a rally in the 9th inning and ended up putting the tying run in scoring position before going down 3-1. Ball low, 3-0. This game feels very different, though. At 7-4, Olivet does not feel out of it at all. They've got 13 hits in the game. They've had 16 base runners. Ball 4, they've had 17 base runners as Lemons issues his second walk in his inning and 2/3. Runner at first base with nobody out. Matson reaches for the 3rd time. Because of all the success that they've had on offense so far, you just get the feeling that they're right there in this thing. St. Francis knew that as they tried to add some insurance last inning. They did get 1 run, but left another man at 3rd. Veldman takes strike 1. Jordan Veldman 2 for 3, a single, a double, a sac fly. 1 run, 1 RBI. Throw to first base, and the runner's back. Kyle Massaro is warming up down the left field line in the St. Francis bullpen right now. He came on and got the save yesterday. He might be asked to do the same again today. Strike over the inside corner. 0-2 on Veldman. Olivet could use this win. Just 2-8 on the season coming into today. Tough schedule to start the year. They began 0-5 as Veldman swings through strike 3. 1 away in the 8th. We saw a 4-pitch walk, then a 3-pitch strikeout. It's been an inning of extremes so far. 1 away in the 8th, and the batter is Jake Biscailuz. Biscailuz is 0 for 2. He's reached on an error and struck out looking. He's also dropped down 2, count them 2, sacrifice bunts. Throw to first base. Chases Matson back to the bag. Alex Lemons is set. First pitch to Biscailuz. In the dirt. Good block by Cebulka, keeping Matson over at first base. It's 1-0. Braden Payne is in the on-deck circle. If anybody else reaches, Jacob Boltice will hit. Boltice has been the best hitter in this series for the Tigers. So that's big for Lemons this inning to try to hold him off until the 9th. 1-0. Ball outside, 2-0. After their 0-5 start, Olivet won 2 out of 3 games against Bethel before coming back to the Chicago area and hoping to capitalize on that momentum. So far they haven't. Maybe part of the reason is they had over a week off between games. Not scheduled that way because the weather was that way. Strike called, 2-1. Although anytime you're scheduling games in the Midwest in February and early March, you plan on having some disruptions. Two and 1. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Lemons just struck out Veldman. Now he's trying to make it 2 in a row against Biscailuz. Righty against righty as Matson takes a short lead away from first base. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 down. 5 strikeouts in the game now for Olivet hitters. Prior to this 8th inning, they hadn't had a single player all night go down swinging. Previous 3 strikeouts were all looking. But now 2 in a row for Lemons, and he faces Braden Payne with a man at first base and 2 down. Payne swings the first pitch, flies it into shallow right. Schoonover comes in, drops to a knee, and makes the catch. Inning over. After the leadoff walk, 3 quick outs. Olivet leaves another man on. That's 11 through 8 innings as they don't score. After 7.5, St. Francis on top, 7-4. In the bottom of the 8th inning, St. Francis will send Eric Maffey, Sean Harper, and John Peterson up to bat. Pitcher is Nolan Belshner. Maffey swings and misses for strike 1. I have had it confirmed. As my guess, he's wearing number 17, listed on the roster as number 40, but it looked like Nolan Belshner, and indeed it is. Belshner making his 3rd appearance of the season. Gave up 1 run on 2 hits in the 7th, and now on for his 2nd inning of work. He fires a ball downstairs, 1-1 on Maffey. Maffey is 1 for 3 with an infield single, a stolen base. Back in the 6th inning, he was stranded at 3rd. He swings and misses. It's 1-2. Swing and a miss. Belshner has back-to-back strikeouts. You got Wolf looking to end the 7th, and he gets Maffey swinging to begin the 8th. The Fighting Saints are just 3 outs away from their 3rd consecutive win. Trying to add some insurance runs first, and now they bring the top of the order up. Sean Harper is one of the few players in this game on either side who hasn't been on base yet, whether by hit, error, walk, hit by pitch. Only 2 players, Harper on the Saints and Tyler Fisher on the Tigers. Fouled back, 1-1 the count. Sean Harper has grounded out 3 times and struck out once. Here comes the 1-1. Inside, 2-1. For St. Francis, Alex Lemons has pitched the last 2 2/3 innings. Kyle Massaro is warming up in the bullpen, so we may see him relieve Lemons for the 9th. Strike over the outside corner, 2-2. Nick Villasenor is the man who's in line for the win. He pitched 5 1/3 innings. Foul back, still 2-2. 1 out, nobody on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Belschner's 2-2. Strike 3 called. 3 straight strikeouts for Nolan Belschner. Came into today with 5 of them in 7 innings worked. He's looked good so far in this game. Did give up a run on a pair of singles in the 7th inning, but worth noting that both of those hits were on the infield. John Peterson is the batter. Peterson foul tips the first pitch. 0 for 2 today with a flyout and a strikeout. He's also dropped down a sacrifice bunt, and he's been hit by a pitch. The 0-1 offering from Belschner misses outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Saints have been retired in order only 1 time today. That was back in the 1st inning. Belschner's trying to make it twice now as he is 1 out away in the 8th. Peterson bounces it foul past third base, 1-2. It's the first time that the first 2 batters of an inning have been retired since the 1st. As for Olivet's offense, they've not been set down 1-2-3 a single time today, and yet they find themselves trailing by 3. Fouled back by Peterson, still 1-2. Saints have left 7 men on base so far in today's game. Olivet's left 11. Big numbers. For St. Francis, though, you score 7 runs, you're not too worried about leaving 7 on. Done a pretty good job with their runners today. Grounded left side, ranging to his left. Matson picks it up. The throw to first is in time, and it is a 1-2-3 inning, the first since the 1st. Nice work by Belschner. But as we head to the 9th, it's still the Saints in front. They're 3 outs away from making it 3 in a row against the Tigers. 7-4 the lead. Top of the 9th inning, last chance for Olivet here. They trail 7-4, and they'll send up the middle of their order Jacob Bultice, Tyler Fisher, and Mason Sherrill, facing a new Saints pitcher. It's right-hander Kyle Massaro. Give you the numbers on him in just a moment. This time is called in the batter's box by Bultice. He's been retired just once today, and that was on runner's interference when he dropped a bunt down and the throw to first base hit him in the back. Aside from that, he has been perfect, 3 for 3 with an RBI. Kyle Massaro came into yesterday's game, faced one batter and struck him out. He picked up his first save of the season. This is his 5th appearance overall now. He has no record. In 6 1/3 innings, he's allowed 2 runs on 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 9 hits. He's got 5 strikeouts and 2 walks. And before he faces Jacob Bultice, a long meeting down the third base line between Bultice and Jeff Mulliken. Logan Matson was the batter that Massaro faced yesterday in a 2-run game with the bases loaded. In the bottom of the 9th, he struck him out. Matson is not due up this inning until number 6, so if it gets there, Massaro is likely in some trouble. He fires a strike. We're finally underway in the 9th. Alex Lemons pitched 2 2/3 innings for the Saints today. He did his job. Ball high, 1-1. He allowed 1 inherited runner to score, but none of his own. In his 2 2/3 innings, he allowed 2 hits and 2 walks, but he struck out 2, and again did not give up any of his own runs. 1-1 pitch. Ripped into left center field. That ball seeking the gap, and it finds it. Ranging over to cut it off is the center fielder Maffey. He gets it back to the infield quickly, but Bultice is at second with a double. 4th hit of the game for Jacob Bultice, and it's the 3rd double of the game for Olivet. Their 14th hit. They've had at least 1 hit in 8 out of 9 innings today. And they get their leadoff man on for the 7th out of 9 innings in this game. Here's Tyler Fisher, 0 for 4. The only man for Olivet not to have reached base today. He'll try to change that in what will almost assuredly be his last plate appearance of the day. Strike 1 over the outside corner. Even if Olivet comes back and takes the lead, he's not likely to get another chance. So he'll try to make the most of this at bat right here. Runner at second base, nobody out. The 0-1. Down and away, 1-1. Massaro is not even slightly worried about the runner at second right now. Well, maybe slightly. John Peterson is playing near the bag over at second, but that might be in part because of the right-handed hitting Fisher. A big hole on the right side of the infield. Time is called. In the 9th inning, in a 3-run game, as far as St. Francis is concerned, Olivet can score 2 runs all they want, or 1. That's fine. Just can't give up the 3. Strike called, 1-2. It's a little different than yesterday's game as well in this spot. They were up 3-0, so giving up a run meant it cost them a shutout, which doesn't actually mean anything, but feels nice. Here today, that's not on the line. That ball is blooped to the right side, foul ground. McGuire can't quite get to it. It is a foul ball. Nice effort from McGuire, but it dropped a little bit in front of him. Still 1-2. Mason Sherrill is on deck. Rod Lucas to follow him. If Olivet is to win this game, they're going to need to send at least 6 batters to the plate this inning. That's at absolute least. Ball outside. We're even, 2-2. Olivet's done a good job these last couple of games of making St. Francis work all the way to the final out. Even as the Saints have led pretty much the entire series. Fouled away. Still 2-2. In 25 innings in this series, the Saints have held the lead during 23 of them. Only the first and second innings today were opposite of that. Olivet was up 1-0 very briefly in this game. Saints tied it up in the second inning. There's a fly ball to the right side, fouling out of play. Still 2-2. Fisher will see an 8th pitch. Tyler Fisher entered this series with some good numbers, but he's now 0 for 9 over the course of the 3 games with 2 walks. Ball outside, 3-2. Boltice hit a leadoff double. The last thing Massaro wants to do is walk anybody with a multi-run lead in the 9th inning. This is a big 3-2 pitch, the 9th of the at-bat. It's flown out to deep right field, backing up Schoonover all the way to the warning track, but he pulls up in front of the wall to make the catch. Boltice tags from second and heads into third base, but again, Saints aren't too worried about the base runner. They got the out, and that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if it was about a 345-foot out. It is the first out of the inning. Hard hit ball by Fisher. He just missed a homer. Would have been a 2-run shot. Instead, it's out number 1. Boltice over at third base, and Mason Sherrill is the batter. Nick Villaseñor is in line for the win. It would be his first. Graham Burke is in line for the loss. It would be his second. Mason Sherrill is in the batter's box. 2 for 3, 2 singles. He's been hit by a pitch, and way back in the second inning, he popped out to the shortstop, the only time he was retired today. Fouled away. Rod Lucas waits on deck with the runner at third base, 1 out. St. Francis keeps their infield back with a 3-run lead. Sherrill swings and grounds it to the right side and past the diving Joe McGuire into right field. An RBI single for Sherrill. Boltice scores at 7-5. That's the way this game has gone. The lead has not at any point felt safe because both teams have continually come up with big hits. They keep getting guys on. That right there is the 15th hit of the game for Olivet Nazarene. It's the 3rd for Sherrill. Here's Rod Lucas representing the tying run with 1 out. Ball inside, 1-0. Massaro can end the game here on a ground ball. Lucas can tie the game with a home run. The latter is probably more likely, or the former I should say, is probably more likely than the latter. Bounced foul to the third base side for a strike, 1-1. But Massaro just wants to get an out here. That's all that really counts. Just in case Kyle Massaro falters here in the 9th inning, Tyler Domi is getting ready in the bullpen. One and one on Lucas. Check swing foul. It's 1-2. Rod Lucas has singled and walked today. He's 1 for 3. Been an action-packed game today. 12 total runs scored. Lucas fouls back another one. 25 total hits. We've seen 18 runners left on base, so this game has had the potential to be much more high scoring even than it's been. Time called in the batter's box. Olivet led by a 1-0 score over the first couple of innings before St. Francis tied it in the second. That's their only lead in the entire series so far. St. Francis has led by as many as 5 runs. They were up at 1.6-1. Now 7-5. Ground ball right side, and it's past McGuire. Sliding stop Peterson, but he has no play. It's a hit for Rod Lucas, and there are 2 on with only 1 out. That's the tying run now on base. The go-ahead run that's coming to the batter's box. Second hit today for Rod Lucas. Nathan Moonen can turn this game on its head. This has been the staple, though, of the game for Olivet. Getting base runners, scoring them has not been the staple. They've left a lot of runs on the field, and Massaro is trying to leave a few more of them there right now. He's facing the bottom of the order, but Nathan Moonen is not necessarily your typical bottom of the order hitter. He was batting cleanup yesterday. He's got a .281 average for the season, and he's had a good game today, 2 for 4 with 2 singles and a run scored. The runner at second for St. Francis right now is only important in so much as he creates a force out at third base. The runner at first would be the tying score. Massaro once again looking for a ground ball. He misses inside on Moonen, 1-0. Three hits this inning. Boltice doubled, Sherrill singled, and Lucas singled, and the one out was maybe the hardest hit ball of all. Fisher flew out to right field, missed a home run by a couple of feet. That one is flown into right. This is an easy play for Schoonover. He makes the grab. The runner from second base tags. The throw comes into third a little bit late. So Sherrill takes third base. Moonen is out number 2. And the Tigers are down to their final out. Their last hope for the second consecutive day is Logan Matson. Yesterday, Matson came to the bat down 3-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Olivet was the home team in that game. With the bases loaded and 2 outs, and Kyle Massaro struck him out. Today, Massaro faces Matson with runners at the corners and 2 outs in the 9th inning. Again, a 2-run game. Matson over-aggressive on the first swing, way out in front of it. Strike 1. Logan Matson has had a big game at the plate. 2 for 3, a single, a double, a run scored, 2 RBIs. But it all comes down to this for him right now as he takes a ball outside, 1-1. Regardless of all the success he's had at the plate, if he can't come up big with the tying run on base in the 9th inning for the second straight day, I'm sure it'll be a frustrated bus ride back to Bourbonnais. Ball outside, 2-1. If Matson reaches base, Jordan Veldman hits next, and that's another bat you don't want to see up in this spot. Matson could tie the score with an extra base hit. He could give Olivet their first lead since the second inning by putting one over the fence. He takes a ball up and away, 3-1. Olivet for the second straight day threatening to load the bases in the 9th inning. Massaro is potentially one good pitch away from ending this game. Matson's trying to reach base and keep it going, the 3-1. Downstairs he walked him. So the Tigers have 3 hits and now a walk in the 9th inning. They have loaded the bases and they've brought back the top of the order. Jordan Veldman comes to the plate with the tying run in scoring position and the go-ahead run over at first base. Veldman is 2 for 4 today with a single, a double, a run scored and an RBI. He does have a sac fly. He hits a hard grounder left side. Off the glove of Wolf, he gloves it, has no play. An RBI infield single for Jordan Veldman, and it's a 1-run game. The bases are still loaded. Nice spear of that ball by Jonathan Wolf. If that had gotten into left field, this is a tie game right now. Because he was able to keep it on the infield, only 1 run scores. And it is up to Jake Vizcailus. 0 for 3 today, just 3 for 33 on the season, an .091 average. But now he's got a chance to be the hero. Third hit of the game, by the way, for Veldman. Second RBI. And it looks like Vizcailus might be facing Tyler Domi as Brian Mahalik comes out to talk with Kyle Massaro. We'll see if he makes the call to the pen or if this is a strategic meeting. Massaro came in for the save in the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. But he's allowed 3 hits, make that 4 hits now. 4 hits and a walk. And has gotten just 2 outs, both flyouts to right. Remember, Tyler Fisher hit that ball that was about 3 feet away from leaving the yard. And if that had gotten over the fence, Olivet would already have the lead right now. Instead, the tying run's at third base. Go-ahead run at second. 2 outs in the ninth. Jake Vizcailus has struck out twice and reached down an error. He's also dropped down 2 sacrifice bunts. First pitch, inside, ball 1. A walk would tie the score. A hit by pitch would tie the score. Wild pitch, pass ball, any of those. A base hit would either tie it or give Olivet the lead. Any sort of out, though, ends the game. Ball outside, 2-0. Veldman's at first, Matson at second, Lucas at third. 2-0 on Vizcailus. There's a called strike, 2-1. If we end up getting into the bottom of the ninth inning, Schoonover, Tesh, and Cebulka are due up for St. Francis. Olivet trying to ensure that those guys get another at-bat. 2-1 on the number 2 hitter for the Tigers. And the right-hander Kyle Massaro steps off the rubber. He'll gear up to do it again. The ending of today's game very similar to the ending of yesterday's game when the Saints were able to walk the tightrope and get out with a 3-1 win, leaving the bases loaded. Strike over the outside corner, 2-2. Vizcailus turns around to look at the umpire. Not happy with that call. What a difference between 2-2 and 3-1. That was a huge call. I think the pitch looked worse than it was because he didn't hit his spot. Cebulka had to lean pretty far to the right. That doesn't mean it didn't get the zone. It's hard to tell from here. But I don't think that's where Massaro was aiming for. So now they're down to their final strike. Massaro gets the sign in from Cebulka. He's set for the 2-2. And Massaro steps off the rubber again. Cebulka will have a conversation with him. The ninth inning today, very similar to yesterday's ninth inning, but the game itself is quite different. That was a great pitcher's duel. This one has been anything but. We've seen 13 runs scored. Olivet now has 17 hits in the game. St. Francis has 10. 11 men have already been left on base for the Tigers. If Massaro can get one more out, they'll make it 14, and the Saints will have a 3-game sweep. The 2-2. Fly ball left field, backing up Sean Harper. He's got it, and there's your ball game. Jake Vizcailus squared that one up, his best swing of the series. But it was right at Sean Harper, who had to take just a few steps back before putting the squeeze on it to end the ball game. A 7-6 St. Francis win. Not necessarily the way they drew it up in the end, but they got it done. Olivet leaves 3 more on base. They finished the game with 17 hits, but 14 stranded base runners. And again, I'm sure it'll be a frustrating bus ride back to Bourbonnais just because of all the missed opportunities they had today after they couldn't sniff a hit in yesterday's doubleheader against Angel Sandoval and Colin Kelly. Today, they had hits in all but one inning. They had base runners in every inning, but just couldn't come through often enough in those big moments. That said, they did score 6 runs, and more often than not, 6 runs is going to be enough to get you a victory. Today, it just wasn't the case. As we look back at the scoring in this one, Olivet struck first in the first inning. Jordan Veldman doubled. Jacob Bultice singled him in. Then the Saints, who were sent down 1-2-3 in the first, started a 4 straight inning scoring streak in the second. Josh Tesh reached on an error and later scored when Jonathan Wolf reached on an error to tie it at 1. In the third inning, an RBI single from Adam Cebulka gave the Saints their first lead at 2-1. In the fourth inning, they added a run. Noah Carraro singled. He eventually came home on a wild pitch. And then it looked like they were starting to run away in the fifth inning when Schoonover and Tesh both singled, and Adam Cebulka hit a 3-run homer. That made the score 6-1. But Olivet fought back with 3 runs in the 6th inning. A 2-run double from Logan Matson got it started, and then a sacrifice fly from Jordan Veldman made it a 6-4 score. Saints got their final run in the 7th inning. Josh Tesh singled and later came home on a Noah Carraro ground out. It was a 3-run lead heading into the 9th inning, and that's when Olivet made things very interesting. Jacob Bultice doubled and scored on a Mason Sherrill single. Then Rod Lucas singled, Logan Matson walked. The bases were loaded in a 7-5 game. Jordan Veldman came up next. Veldman reached on an infield hit that scored Sherrill and kept the bases loaded at 7-6 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Jake Vizcailis came up, hit the ball hard, but he lined it right to the left fielder, Sean Harper, and that put an end to it. 7-6 the final score. The winning pitcher, Nick Villaseñor, picks up his first victory of the season. He improves to 1-2. He went 5 1/3 innings, and he allowed 4 runs in today's game. The losing pitcher is Graham Burke. Burke went 6 innings, and he allowed 6 runs. Burke falls to 0-2 on the year. Next up for St. Francis, they go to Purdue Northwest tomorrow as they finish up their string of 7 games in 5 days. Olivet will take a few days off. They head down to Missouri this weekend. St. Francis now 5-8 on the season, off to a great conference start as they are 3-0 in CCAC play, whereas Olivet falls to 0-3. They're now 2-9 on the season. That does it for today's game and today's broadcast. Thanks for tuning in. St. Francis knocks off Olivet Nazarene by a 7-6 final, 3 in a row for the Saints over the Tigers. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off for the University of St. Francis. Good night, all.